Hey everybody and welcome back to my creative world, which I have got a few tree designs for you, which I'm pretty happy with and I kind of like the way they look. As you can see behind me we have the vanilla trees, which honestly they don't look very realistic, very Minecrafty. Not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think there's a lot more that we can do for these trees, which is why I've come up with 7 designs of different types of trees, and I'll explain to you as we go the inspiration and kind of how to build them. I promise you, they're not super hard once you do it a couple times. They're pretty fun overall, and yeah, I'll cut to the time lapses and I'll explain a little bit on how I've done each of the trees. So this first tree, I kind of got inspired by the bonsai kind of tree, which are just like little small trees and they grow really big eventually. They have a really cool twisty shape, which is what I wanted to get. So you can see the base is quite large and it kind of curves around quite dramatically, and I made sure to add a whole bunch of slabs and stairs around. Now I used cobblestone for this just because I wanted to use the cobblestone wall and I thought it was pretty cool for a grey tree. And I liked that the cobble is kind of chunky and the bonsai trees are also quite chunky as well, so that's the reason why I went for this design. I added some spruce leaves and you can kind of see right at the beginning it looked very chunky in the middle there, and that was just because I had too much blocks. Later on I removed a bunch of blocks and replaced them with slabs and stairs, which just made it seem a little less chunky and it gave more room between the branches, which looked really good. I really liked the spruce leaves with it, which is why I used that, and I did also add some roots down the bottom, which you'll see in a second, and yeah, they kind of went up and down a little bit, just stuck out slightly, but nothing too much, and I was really happy with the end result of this, and I love the shape. I think it's balanced really well, and yeah, we'll move on to the next tree just about now. So this next tree, I used some of the deep slate walls, and I think they're the bricked ones, yeah. And I wanted to make a dead tree, so I tried to make a bunch of the branches going out. I won't lie, this is probably my least favourite of all the trees that I've done, but I don't think it's that bad. So I made the branches kind of go up and around a little bit, so they started with a thin base and the branches went out. I wish I made them a bit thinner, but I also know there's a lot of limitations with that, just with the blocks that we have. But overall I think it wasn't bad. I kind of made it melt into the ground a little bit more, and you can see me trying to make it a bit thinner around, and it did help quite a lot, but I wasn't 100% happy with it. Overall it was alright. I added a bunch of chains to just mimic little sticks kind of coming out the sides, because you'll kind of see that with a lot of dead trees. Chains I know aren't the best thing to use for it, but it was the only option I had, and I think it didn't make it look worse. I think it made it look a little bit better. It added a bit more depth to it, which I was happy about. I also added a branch that had fallen onto the ground, as well as some roots like I did for the last one. But I've added a branch that fallen on the ground to kind of give the tree a little bit of a story, so you can see whatever happened, the branch fell down, and I tried to kind of give it a curved shape because that's what you see with a lot of branches come down. But yeah, that was this tree, so we can move on to the next one. Now this tree I did struggle with quite a bit, just because it was like a green kind of base, because I wanted to use the prismarine, and it also kind of colour shifts, just the block itself, you can kind of see it colour shifting a bit. I used spruce leaves because it went the best with the blue, but I'm still not 100% happy with it. I wish that we had more coloured leaves. I think if I used orange or something it could have looked really cool with some contrasting colours, but unfortunately we didn't have that. I think I did the best I could with the materials I had. Having the prismarine as the base is very hard because you don't see any trees, or really often trees, with a blue base, except if they're like alien kind of, but I do like what I did with the alien kind of idea, which I got from the colour, is I went with like 2 kind of stumps coming out the top and then a little bit of branches coming outside. I put a little bit of dark prismarine just to shade it at the bottom a bit, and then it melted it into the ground just a bit, which overall I think it helped a lot. But yeah, that's that tree, so we'll move on to the next one. This tree I did a very light base, so I used sandstone. and I'm really happy with how this came out. I wanted to incorporate the lightness and also a bit of colour. I really wish we had orange leaves, because that would have looked amazing with this, but unfortunately we didn't, so I used cherry leaves because I still wanted to add colour. I really like the cherry leaves and the light coloured base, so the trunk is really light with the light leaves. I think it looks super pretty. Like, the colours just go well together, and it's a cool little contrast or just spin on the original cherry tree, while it still gives it a very light kind of feel. A bunch of sandstone, and I kind of textured it a little bit with normal sandstone and smooth sandstone, which helped quite a lot. I also added some petals down the bottom and a little bit of a branch that came outside. Now, I did this in kind of a traditional birch tree, which is why I wish I had orange leaves, because that's the leaves that they use, but I think this turned out really well. So yeah, I think after this one we'll move on to the next tree. So this tree was actually my favourite. I think I mentioned it as well, but it's my favourite tree that I did. It has a very thin base, and it kind of reminds me of like a Savannah type tree. Some trees that I see where I live, just in a kind of desert-y kind of place. Very thin trunk, which I loved. I really liked the way this looked. I loved the use of the red as well, the red nether brick, and then I think I used mangrove fences. I put a bunch of branches coming out the side. I think I used mangrove leaves or maybe acacia leaves for it, but honestly any leaves would work. I didn't put too many leaves on it. I kind of used them very sparingly on this design, but it looks really cool. I love the silhouette of it, and even the shadow at the bottom, you can kind of see it. It looks super cool. I think it's a very natural looking tree, and I just imagine this scattered around like a desert, and I don't know, like very sparsely, and I really liked the silhouette of this tree. It's super pretty. Definitely one of my favorites. So we'll move on to the next one. So this tree here is made out of the end stone bricks, which I wanted to use that wall specifically. It was a lot easier actually to match it with, because a lot of trees have a lighter base, or ones I see at least. I did similar to the bonsai tree, but I think this one was a little less thick at the base and had more branches coming out, so the base kind of made sense with it for how many branches. I used bamboo fences as well, because I hadn't used them yet and I didn't know what I was going to use them for, so I used the bamboo fences for some different branches. But again, I really like the silhouette of this. I think the only thing I'd do differently, I don't think the base is balanced very well, but to be fair, in real life the trees' bases aren't balanced really well. You'll see some that are leaning on a very harsh angle, look like they'll fall over in any type of breeze. But I did like all the different branches. I think this looked very unique, and yeah, I'm really happy with this. I think I did try and go for the same sort of style as the one before, just because I really liked it, but I did this a lot thicker and I think it went well. I'm pretty sure I used birch leaves for this one as well. But yeah, very nice. Now this last tree, I know I said the one that was my favourite out of the red nether brick was kind of Savannah-esque, but this was the one I tried the most to be Savannah-esque. Probably my least favourite out of all of them. I think I said that about the dark one, but this one probably tops it. I wanted to use the orange and then also the green leaves, because I do like the contrast. I think that's really good. I didn't like the shape of this that much. I think I used too much leaves on the left at the start, so I had to change that because it was just way too much. But overall, I was happy when I trimmed down the leaves a little bit. The shape is okay. I do like that it's very different to normal trees that I usually see, or even that I usually build. I'm happy that I did step out of my comfort zone a bit. A lot of things I'd change. I think the back branch should have been a little bit higher just to have a bit of difference, but it's not bad. I'm not super mad of it. Like, in general, some trees do look really weird, so I can just use that as an excuse. I melded this one into the ground a little bit. I didn't add roots just because it didn't make sense, but this tree I guess you'd see in like a desert or savanna, maybe a mesa biome if it's in Minecraft, but it's not awful. I'm glad I did it. But yeah, that's all the trees. So I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe got a little bit of ideas of some of the trees that we have done right over here. It was super fun, but I think we can do more because, as you can see, there's still quite a lot of different wall textures that we can use for our own trees. Overall, I'm very happy with the creative stuff that we're able to make in this video, and I hope you guys are too. Personally, my favorite is this one right here. I really like this nether brick one. I think it has such a nice silhouette, and it's just, I really like it a lot. Which one was your guys' favorite? Let me know in the comments, and I hope that these trees and different colors kind of give you some ideas for maybe your own worlds. And if you have any other designs that you want to share, please do follow me in my Discord. I've got it linked to my community tab, I think, so feel free to jump over there and let me know if you've tried any of these designs, and if you liked any of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!